In the heart of the nation where laughter's the key, Natch has the podcast, join the revelry, taking the Mickey with positive spin. Country folks unite, let the Nat Chat begin. Nat Chat where the laughter's free, spinning tales about politics with positivity.
This is a very special episode of the podcast this week. We're sat in a very cold but extraordinary Rex Theatre in Charlton with DustyRaine, one word, capital R in the middle, and Fletcher, our members of Youth Parliament, Victorian Youth Parliament. How are you both?
Great, really good.
Now, I'm going to tell you, because I didn't give you a briefing on the microphones, they're only cheap ones because I'm just a poor politician. Hold them nice and close to your mouth when we speak. But are you both well on this public holiday?
I'm feeling better than I ever have before. What about you, Dusty?
I'm feeling very well.
Excellent. Now, first of all, mentioned that you're both members of our region's participation in Victorian Youth Parliament. Fletcher, you're from Charlton?
Yes, born and raised.
Born and raised. On a farm or in town?
Or in town on Clifton Street.
Oh, you're a townie.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
And what year are you in?
I'm in year 12.
And looking to go on to do what? Well, you don't know
That's
yet.
a hard question. All I know is that I'll be at school for another year. Still deciding.
Are you?
Yes.
Is politics or public service or governance, that area, a particular interest?
It's high on the list.
Is it?
Yes.
This wasn't just something that would get you out of school for a week?
No, it is very high on the list, yes.
Good. Excellent. In what way? Where's your interest?
Oh, I love talking. I love to hear myself speak. But I also love sort of being able to put my ideas out, put others' ideas out and follow through.
Good.
With them.
And make positive changes?
Yes.
Not to put words in your mouth?
Yes.
So if you love speaking and you love hearing the sound of your own voice, has radio never entered the equation?
It was when I was quite little. I used to sort of bounce back everything they'd say on the radio. Used to fancy myself as a singer, but here we are now. No.
Oh.
No.
Okay, well, that kind of narrows down the field then. So, Dusty, what about you? What year are you? You're at St Arnaud, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm from St Arnaud. I'm in year 11 at the moment. Mm-hmm. And I've lived in St Arnaud my whole life. I'm the youngest of 8 kids. So
The youngest of 8?
Yeah.
So are you in town or are you out on a farm?
Out of right on the edge of town, but we've got 42 acres and peacocks. So kind of a farm.
42 acres and peacocks.
Yep.
How many peacocks?
19?
Oh, my goodness. Are they as mean as I think they are?
No, they're really, really nice birds. I go up and pat them. Yeah.
I've been chased by several peacocks in my lifetime.
You just haven't met the right ones then.
I think that's what all my friends used to say before I met my husband. Wow. So is it a breeding peacock program?
No, it's not. Mum just really, really likes them.
Do you have any other wildlife?
Yeah, we have chooks and cats and guinea fowls and sheep, dogs.
Alpacas?
Nah.
Oh.
Mum doesn't like them.
So I guess Mum, pun intended, rules the roost then.
Yeah.
Excellent. Now, we are sitting in the magnificent Rex Theatre in Charlton, which I love, and I was a drama student at school and I loved the stage. My ambition far outweighed my ability. However, I do love a theatre. And Fletcher, you're from Charlton. Do you have much to do with the Rex?
I'm the film selection committee and I come here almost every Saturday night to see whatever's on.
So they have movies every single Saturday night?
Every single Saturday night. I think every Tuesday, Saturday and Sunday.
Wow, and they have some big events here too, don't they?
Yes. Recently we just had the opera, I think. An opera sort of event.
Yeah, and the symphony, it's here, you can hear. My background's radio, just to fill you in a bit. Before you were even born, I worked in radio and the music industry. So audio is very much my thing. And sitting here, the acoustics and the way that before electronic amplification, I suppose, was born, theatres had to be made so that the acoustics were perfect and the volume, it's just amazing. I love old theatres for that because the engineering that's gone into it's amazing. However, it's really cold in here, right?
Freezing.
And I said to you before, is it haunted? And what did you say?
I said there's one ghost that I know of, and he sits right at the top on the right-hand side at the top of the back seats.
Really?
We were too scared to sit there when we were little because he would touch us on the back of our necks.
Rubbish.
Not rubbish, no. I felt him myself.
Rubbish. Really?
Yes, I think year 5. So it would have been, 9?
Oh, my goodness. So, no, 9. You would have been older than that. Surely. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. What's his name and what's his story?
We don't know his name. We don't know his story. All we know is that he's there. And that if you sit at the very, very back of the top row, he'll grab you.
He'll tickle you.
Yeah.
It's inappropriate. So is this a kid's urban legend or is this something that's fact within the Charlton community?
If you were going to see a movie with friends, you'd always nominate one person to sit at the very back.
Really?
Yep. And when it was my turn to sit at the back, he got me.
Did he really? But are adults convinced that this ghost exists as well, or is this just a young person's thing?
I think it's just a young person's thing.
Oh, that's a shame. I would really like to see some evidence. I like science. I would like to see some scientific, facts to prove that it exists, but I don't think that exists for any of them. Now, Dusty, you're from St Arnaud,
Yep.
where there is a very famous convent.
Yes.
And we'll
there
get
is.
to the Parliament stuff in a minute. But do you have a story about that convent?
When I went to the primary school that the convent overlooks, and when we were at primary school, we would point up at the windows and be like, oh, there's something moving in there. And sometimes there might have been, sometimes there wasn't. We then realised that people had moved in later, but it's haunted, I swear.
Right. So, yes, you were seeing things. It wasn't a figment of your imagination, but it was actually people.
Yeah, but we didn't know that at the time. They were just like, the curtains would move and we'd see people.
Yeah.
It was actually people, but we thought it was ghosts.
Well, this is what happens in these beautiful old buildings. And when you get south, because I think the further north you get, the younger the region gets because it was hot and extreme for people to settle up there, right? But down here through the Wimmera and the Southern Mallee, there are some beautiful old buildings. There's the old convents, there's the lunatic asylums. So there is a lot of ghost stories that surround these places, right? One day in the very near future, we should do something in here maybe and see if we can, like a ghost hunting podcast. Would you be up for that, Fletcher?
I'd be definitely up for that.
Even though he's touched you before?
I will 1v1 him at the back of the stage right now.
Oh, God. Don't say that because, honestly, if I get touched on the back of the neck right now, I will freak out and that's the end of this podcast. Let's move on to talking about what we're actually here to talk about, and that is the YMCA Victorian Youth Parliament that you two were both a part of. Dusty, let's start with you. Why did you put your hand up to become part of, or what did you want to participate?
I wanted to participate because I love getting my ideas out there. I like talking. I really like talking and I like arguing and debating. And it was something that it was a lot of my interests. And I was like, oh, yeah, should I do that? I don't know, but it sounds like it would be a very good idea. And the idea just came up, the opportunity, because of a youth network I was involved in. So it was there. And it sounded like a fun idea.
Great. I love the fact that you take advantage of an opportunity when it presents itself. That's terrific. Fletcher, what about you?
Well, last year a member of the LEN came in and they talked to us about the program and I thought, I want a piece of that. So I put my hand up and I think there was about 6 others that year who put their hand up. And by the end of that year, I think I was the last one standing.
Oh, really?
Of that 6 lot from my school.
Yeah.
And I eventually had to drop out. But I picked it up again this year.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So why were you the last one standing? Was it just people couldn't be involved or what happened there?
I think they lost interest.
Right.
when it got to the bill writing, they lost interest.
All right, a great segue. Well done, because writing bills and reading bills, let me tell you, is not the most fun you've ever had. It is not sitting here talking to ghosts. Tell me about the bill and where the idea came from. Who's going to go first? Where did it come from?
So we were told to put ideas forward for our bill, and each of us put ideas forward, and then the idea was chosen out of our ideas. This one, I think I put the idea forward. I put the idea forward because I'm very interested in psychology, really interested in CTE and concussions. I've done too much research on it. Much research.
There's no such thing as too much research, is there?
Oh, it's a bit extreme, the amount of research that I've gone to with CT and concussions.
Like what?
I do Year 12 psychology this year, and last year was my research project. I did that. I made a whole poster. Anytime anyone brings up helmets in sport or concussions or anything, I'll be like, no, helmets don't work. CTE, this, that, and I will flood them with information that they do not want.
So you don't think helmets work in sport?
They don't. They stop skull lacerations, but they do not stop concussions. You cannot stop the brain moving around in the skull.
Yes.
And it will give people a false sense of security, which makes more risky behaviours.
Well, that is true. I agree with that. I have suffered concussions myself. In fact, I think I had one on the weekend. And that was purely not from any risky behaviour whatsoever. So if we talk about, and CTE is obviously something that has been proven that exists. Unfortunately, it can't be diagnosed. And correct me if I'm wrong here, if you've done all the research, it can't be diagnosed until a post-mortem examination. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. It can't be diagnosed till afterwards. But in certain cases, they will tell people that, you have a degenerative neurological disease, but they will not name it CTE because it can't be.
But they may say, and I think my parents have some friends at the moment who thought they may have had early onset Alzheimer's, but now it's more likely that it is a degenerative neurological disease likely to be CTE. So are doctors at that point where they're saying it's likely you've got CTE?
From what I've seen in more recent things, such as in Marines and such, that is what they are doing. They're saying that it is more likely a neurological degenerative disease rather than like early onset Alzheimer's. So it's interesting how things are changing when it comes to research with that.
It's interesting that you're so interested in this, and yet your interest also lies in the politics and the policy behind it rather than the science and research. Is there a science and research interest there for you as well?
Oh, definitely a science and research interest as well. Probably what I want to go into in my future.
Excellent. Well, that sounds like something we desperately need. Unfortunately, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, there's not a huge amount of funding that goes into any of the brain disorders, as far as I can tell.
There's not a lot of funding that goes into any sciences in Australia.
Amen, sister. There is not. You are absolutely right. Yeah, particularly women's health.
Absolutely.
But let's not talk about that. Fletcher, what did you submit? Did you have to make submissions for a bill as well? And what were your ideas? Or you were just on board with this one?
This bill was really close and personal to my heart. And as soon as I saw that Dusty had picked it, I was ready to die for this bill. It was actually the reason why I had to drop out of youth parliament last year. I suffered a concussion in football. And I ended up with PCS, which is post-concussive syndrome.
Oh, my goodness.
So it took me out of school for, I think, 6 months.
6 months?
Of interrupted schooling. And so I thought, why not make sure that doesn't happen to anyone else? So we made this bill as like another preventative measure to protect kids playing sport.
Yeah. So can we talk about your incident? Was it just a hip and shoulder, a bump that caught you wrong, or what happened? Tell us about it.
I was mouthing off one kid a whole game.
Okay, at least you're going to be honest. Good.
So I got the sling tackle I was probably asking for. Went about my business until Thursday night training. All I can remember from Thursday night was someone found me outside the club rooms in a pool of my vomit.
Oh, my goodness. That is traumatic.
And the rest is a little bit blurry from then on.
Oh, my God. So it literally took all of that time for it to actually set in, and that's where the concussive syndrome comes from.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. How did your parents cope with that? Have you asked how your parents coped with that?
It was actually during their anniversary. So they had to cancel the flight. They weren't very happy with me.
No, I know, but also they wanted to make sure you were safe and well. Wow, because I don't think, and I've only had one severe concussion in my life, and that was after a motorbike accident. But I didn't understand how bad that post-concussive syndrome can be. And it does absolutely floor you for months. You lose memory, you can't walk, you can't, it feels like your brain every time you move, and, correct me if I'm wrong in your case, but I can only speak for myself. It feels like every time you move, the brain hits the side of your skull.
Yeah.
And you get that headache and you get dizzy, and there's so much that goes with it. I had no idea. So this is I'd read the preamble when Youth Parliament, I think it was the week after, and I thought, for young people of your age, this is an extraordinary bill to put up. So well done, both of you. Run us through the bill. Dusty, you go first, and it's your bill.
So our bill is to educate people in contact sports on concussions and how to see concussions not only in themselves and other people. We also talk about how to prevent them in the way of having concussion officers, but we redefine that word because concussion officers are already a thing that exists, but they cannot give first aid.
What do you mean they can't give first aid?
They aren't qualified to give the first aid.
Well, then make that one of the things.
That is what we have.
Good common sense, yay!
We talk about a course similar to first aid courses, an online course that is just based around concussions, and to teach these concussion officers who are already people involved in these clubs, so clubs do not need to bring in new people, how to see concussions, how to, treat concussions, not in the sense of telling people telling them to go to a GP, telling them to do this or that, especially because we thought that concussion officers needed to have this training being in rural areas, especially because you might not have access to a GP or a hospital close enough where you can get that immediate diagnosis that you are concussed.
Mm. And sometimes it's hard to diagnose whether you are concussed anyway, but that's the amount of thought and holistic thinking around this is brilliant. Well done. And this is the stuff that only comes from people that live in rural settings. Because if this bill was drafted by someone sitting in an office in South Yarra, for example, they wouldn't know. Mm. They wouldn't know that at a local club in St Arnaud or Charlton or Donald or wherever it might be, that you can't get an appointment to a GP. And you may not be able to get one for 6 weeks. So well done. That's extraordinary local knowledge. And I say all the time when it comes to creating policy or passing legislation, this stuff needs to be community-based or community-led and place-based, or at least have the flexibility within the framework. So, Fletcher, can you run us through? So the bill is actually called the Mandatory Concussion Education Bill 2024. Can you run us through the different clauses and what they mean? Because there's a few different clauses here, or give us the highlights. Feel free to read it.
So the first 3 clauses are sort of almost context to the rest of the bill. Mm-hmm. We've got the purpose of the bill, when the bill will be commenced, as well as definitions. Mm-hmm. And then we get into the nitty-gritty with Clause 4, which is the establishment of the VCERA, which is the Victorian Concussion Education and Response Authority. This is sort of the authority that overlooks the rollout of the concussion education material, as well as it's sort of the overlooker of the processes of this bill.
Independent to government or a government agency?
Was it independent in the end?
I think it was independent in the end.
Would have to be,
Independent in
I
the
would
end.
think, if it's an
Yes.
authority. Yeah, well done. Excellent.
And then our next clause, Clause 5, was the establishment of the Concussion Education Response course. It would be refreshed, I think it was every year,
Yes.
and rolled out free to every club.
Who's going to fund that? No, we don't think about it.
We
No.
don't talk
we were
about
told
money in
not to
youth
talk about
parliament.
money.
You don't talk about. Oh,
you don't talk about money
gosh, why not?
because there's too many logistical issues when it comes to money.
Yeah, and this is, you're absolutely right, but this is one of those things that people go, oh, this would be a great idea. Yeah, that's great, but where do we find that in the budget? Where do we take money from to? And I don't disagree with this, but the rollout, and this is all a great thing. But, these things don't operate on love alone. So does it come out of the health budget that's underfunded? Does it come out of the education budget that's also underfunded? Do we take it out of the big build that's overfunded? Yes, we probably should. Anyway, go on. Sorry, Fletcher.
Oh, good. And then Clause 6 and 7 are sort of both followed off of Clause 5, just based off of the education course. Clause 8 introduces the penalties for clubs that are not in compliance with the bill.
Great.
We made these penalties as trying to destabilise the stigma around getting up, having another go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not being, because when I was a sports trainer, I was for many years, it was you come off, you have a drink, shake it off and you get back out there.
on.
And that's so bad for you. In hindsight, we didn't know that at the time. Was there any thought given for the penalties and compliance of who governs that? Is that governed by WorkSafe, or was there any thought given to that?
I think it's governed by the VC.
By the authority?
Yeah, by the authority.
Would WorkSafe have any, and this is just my political mind going, okay, well, that's a great idea, but how does it work?
Our board has quite a few. It has people from different areas. We decided, didn't we? We had people from. Where did we have people from?
I think there were representatives from regional areas and metropolitan areas.
But if you had a skills-based board, you could have someone that had WorkSafe or WorkSafe
Yeah, absolutely.
and OH&S skills on that board. Yeah, okay, interesting. Good. You've given it all lots of thought, haven't you? Amazing. So when it comes to writing the bill, who helped you? Because this is not, when I was your age, I wouldn't have had any idea, A, what a bill was, B, what youth parliament was, C, how to go about forming a policy idea, bill writing and things like that. So where did all this come from? Who were your mentors?
We had a mentor from Youth Parliament who was one of the task force members called Lucy. They helped us quite a lot with our bill writing. They helped give us ideas and how we should do things and helped with figuring out the logistics, which we kind of needed that extra support of. We also had our local person, Molly. She had been a past youth parliamentarian, so she knew how to write bills. She knew the workings of it. And because she was from our area, she knew how it works, specifically for our team. Mm-hmm. We also had a person on our team who sadly dropped out about 2 weeks before the week of Parliament, and he was he'd been on the program the year before, but he helped us a lot with the bill writing, with the formatting and such. He made sure that our bill was properly formatted before YMCA then took it and reformatted it. Mm-hmm. So ours didn't need a lot of formatting compared to other teams, which is really good.
Very good, because it's really important. Even though I look at, not so much now, but I used to open bills and look at them and go, there's such a waste of space on this page, on this paper. But it is actually really important for how things are set out to be presented to government. So there was you two on the team. Teams are made up of 4 or 5?
6.
6, is there?
Yeah.
So who are the other 4?
So originally, I think, did we have a full team again at the start of the year?
I don't think so. We had Lily, Gabe, Sophia, you and I. We're missing one person.
And Lily.
Dropped out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have quite a few. We start with a lot of people, but then we lose a few along the way. So we started.
Because it's quite a commitment, isn't it?
It is a very
Yeah. How long does it go for? How long was the whole process?
4 or 5 months, was it?
Oh, yeah, with the bill writing process.
Yeah. It got really intense some moments, but then it would get really laid back. But
Yeah.
But
So it is. You've got to be dedicated to it, don't you? Yeah. So you started. So Lily dropped out.
Mm-hmm. So did Tex. Tex is only. Remember Tex?
Good name. You kids have all got such cool names. Wow. So you had how many did you end up with in the end?
We had 2 from the Buloke-Loddon area.
You two. Yeah.
Us 2.
Yeah.
And then we had 2 others from Melbourne. That was Sophia and Blake.
That came in after the bill was written?
No, Sophia helped
was
write
there
the bill.
whole time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then during the actual week of Parliament, we got 2 other people from our house to fill in.
What, that just came in?
Yep. Did we write the speeches for them?
So we had people from other teams and we were meant to write speeches for them, but we helped them write their speeches.
I was going to say, gee whiz, it's not bad to waltz onto a team and not really have to contribute a huge amount. But if they had to write their speeches, then that's okay. That's fine. At least they would have had to have read the bill, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So tell us about the process. Once the bill's written, you go to Parliament and it's all conducted in the Assembly, isn't it?
No, we were.
Or are you in the council?
We were in
We were in the council.
Oh, were you in the fancy bit?
Yes.
First of all, what did you think when you walk into Victorian Parliament House? What were your first thoughts? Go on, be honest.
I was very shocked. I was kind of tired.
Tired. What were you shocked at?
Just like all the buildings, the paintings, the little bits on the ceiling.
The gold.
All very
on the wall.
fancy. Yeah, it was all very.
Well, it was our nation's capital at one point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was. Before Federation, it was our nation's capital. What did you think when you first walked in there? Did they not give you a history lesson and a tour?
No.
No. That's rude. Come back when I'm there during a sitting. Come back and I'll give you a very intimate tour.
I thought it was really pretty when I walked in. I also went, what am I doing?
It's quite overwhelming, isn't it?
It is very overwhelming. And because we had a few days, we had 2 a day before we actually went to Parliament, which is like properly finishing up our bills. So it was like all good. We were just at the camp and then it was like, whoa, Parliament.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So once you get to Parliament, is it true to parliamentary process? Do you present this as a private member's bill or what happens?
Oh, it's been a little while. So
you recall?
we started off with like a little welcoming ceremony, and then I think we got straight into it. We had the bill reading.
So did you have the first, the second, and the third reading?
We just
once?
Just once,
Okay.
and then we
Yep.
pretended like we had the second and the
Yeah,
third.
good. Okay. Yep.
Dusty.
And then we had the first speaker who did their 5 minutes. We had the speaker on the opposition who did their 5 minutes. Then we went and did the alternated between the next speakers. The bill, we spoke to the president.
Yep.
Yeah, we spoke to the president. So everything was directed there. We had to do the honourable member with our last name. And it was all really like...
Did you get to be honourable members?
Yes.
Oh,
we
that's
were
lucky.
honourable members.
Wow. Geez, that's very lucky. You know you don't get the honourable in front of your name until you've been a minister. So good for you. Wow, so was it Sean Lean? Was it the honourable Sean Lean that was he sitting in the president's chair or was it someone from Youth Parliament?
We had different MPs and like parliamentarians come in. We had members from different parties. I know we had a member from the legalised marijuana party.
Rachel? Or was it?
I'm not sure. We had Greens members. We had Nationals members. We had different people come in and sit. And the same thing happened in the Assembly as well.
Great. Okay, so you guys were part of the council. So there was both houses sitting.
Yep.
That's very cool. Very cool. So on your team, were there speakers in support and opposing, or did you have another team that was opposing the bill?
We had another team that was opposing the bill. I think, who were they? They were
Bundura.
Bundura Youth Hub.
Wow. So how did they go? And sometimes this is a real factor, right? And we sit in opposition at the minute, but sometimes there's bills that come through that you go, I'm actually not opposed to this, could be tweaked. So how did they go with being opposed to this bill? Did they struggle?
They definitely struggled a lot. We got really scared, I think, the night before the bill because they were talking about killing the bill. It got really, I think it got, from my memory, got really quite heated in the bill.
Wow.
I had to walk out.
Really?
From some of the things they were saying got really under my skin. They were hurting my little precious baby.
Oh, no. Well, I tell you what, if you want to get involved in politics, that skin needs to become
a lot thicker.
A lot thicker, yeah. And unfortunately, that's how things are in there. It can get personal sometimes, and it's nasty a lot of the time, which I struggle with because I like to think I'm an adult. But I could imagine that because it is a very common sense, well thought out, well constructed bill that actually does some really good things, that, you know, establishes a really good authority and framework moving forward. To speak in opposition or to oppose it would be very difficult, which is why they would have been going, let's kill it. Well, you can only kill it if you've got the numbers. So they didn't in the end?
No, we got passed.
Yeah.
Great.
We got passed by quite a lot. There was like one team that said no to it, and that's just because we made enemies with them.
Oh, really? Why did you make enemies with them? How did you make enemies? Oh, you made enemies with them, Dusty.
No. They had a
That's what
bill.
Fletcher's saying.
Their bill, we were very opposed to their bill, being regional people.
What was their bill?
Their bill got under our skin. So it was about sustainable and environmentally friendly agriculture, which was really good in the sense of it. But their bill was not really doing much, and a lot of what they were doing was it would not work in a lot of rural areas.
Like what?
I can't really remember a lot of it, but it was very here you have to have a lot of money to start with to be able to do this, or talking about changing the way that farming is done completely and undermining a lot of the work that farmers do. But a big issue that I found with theirs was they didn't talk about educating farmers. They just talked about, it's only a thing that they might have to do. They're not forced to do it. But then what was the use of having the bill?
Well, exactly. Why would you spend time and money passing a bill like that?
They brought up this guy, Ferguson, I believe is fake. You cannot tell me this guy is real. Ferguson started his farm and now he has 40,000 solar panels that sheep graze in and 14,000 trees.
Well, this is it, that sort of thing is actually becoming more common.
Yes. And I think
and I know it's controversial down in this part of the world.
I think that it's really good, their idea, and I think that definitely stuff needs to be done when it comes to the way agriculture is done, but the way that the bill was written, we don't agree with.
I'll give you my 2 cents worth on things like that, because we do see and we hear our friends from the Greens more often than not talk about how farming practices lead to carbon emissions, blah, blah, blah. My argument is always, first of all, our food and fibre producers are the biggest environmentalists you are ever likely to find in your life. The land and the quality and the care of that land means that they have a livelihood, right? When people talk about sustainable agriculture or regenerative, you know what I mean? I can't say that word. They are talking about 10 acres of a hobby farm that they think all of these practices are new and innovative. I'm sorry. In commercial farming, we've been doing that for hundreds of years. We rotate paddocks. We do all this stuff. Permanent plantings are a little bit different, but permanent plantings are there for a reason, right? So I understand that would get under your skin and it would grind your gears and boil your blood. But this is what I mean this is why regions need to be represented now and into the future so that we can go, hang on a minute, you actually don't know what you're talking about. Here are the facts. They will not always believe you because sometimes people like to bury their head in the sand, but I get it. I get why I get my blood boiled on a regular basis. So you got passed. Anyway, we'll get back onto your bill. You got passed because I can see the computer battery's going flat. It got passed with only opposition from that one team that you opposed anyway. You know people can't see you nodding, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that is – so where to from now? What happens to these bills?
I think they get looked at by the respective ministers. Mm-hmm. I don't think we get notified if anything happens with them.
So did this go to education or you don't know?
We're not quite sure.
Well, guess what? I will make sure that it goes to the Minister for Sport. I'll give it to the Shadow, who is a friend and colleague of mine. Like I said, whether it comes under education or whether it's community sport, could be community sport, I can give it to her as well. So, and the Shadow Minister for Youth, you know what? Let's give it to everybody. Nobody can hear, nobody can see you laughing
Passing
or nodding.
around.
Yeah, would you be happy? Are you happy for me to do that?
Absolutely.
To circulate this, because I think this is such a good thing, and there will be something that happens with concussion in the future. So it may as well be born in the vision of our young people that are the ones that are going to be most affected by it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Oh. Thank you, Jade.
You are so welcome. Thank you for meeting me at the Rex today on a public holiday. I hope I didn't get you out of bed too early.
Nah, it's all right.
Terrific. Now, honestly, if you guys want to come to Parliament House again so you can actually have a tour of the place and sit in the gallery, feel free. Just let me know, okay? And we might even be able to sign you up as Young Nationals.
Sounds great.
Oh, fantastic. Dusty was smart enough to go, you've just signed up. Well done. Thank you both. Excellent work. And let me know if I can help out in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jade.
In the heart of the nation where laughter's the key, Natch has the podcast, join the revelry, taking the Mickey with positive spin. Country folks unite and let the Nat Chat begin. Nat Chat where the laughter's free, spinning tales about politics with positivity.